Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. Boys, how you guys doing, man? It's good to have you guys back.
Yeah, it feels good to be back, man.
Yeah,
good to be back. Still in the job, unlike certain managers.
yeah, some big news today actually. Thomas Frank, our fellow Gooner, fellow Arsenal fan at heart, did get sacked from Tottenham, but that's not what we're doing today. Today we're going to be doing a start, sub, sell, boys. And we're going to do current players, right? And I want to base it off, let's say, this season's current form. So not about their whole career, not about what they done last year. Who cares about that? This is this season only. Sounds good?
Yeah,
Let's get into it.
Yeah, perfect. Well, if you guys don't know, as AMIN at the top, let me make you big screen. That's AMIN right there. And then we have over here GULEED, aka GH Veli. But cool, let's get into it. First one. Saka, Mbumo, or Esteval? Saka, Mbumo, and Esteval, boys. I want to start with...
How long we got?
Oh, listen, let's start with you. You take the stage, man. You take the stage.
Oh, it's a bit tough one, to be fair. I mean, this season alone.
Yeah,
it depends, though. Like, what does expectations come into play as well? In terms of age, minutes, what you expect him to do? Because for me, this season, I love Saka. I've always said England's best winger is Saka. But expectation-wise, and how the team's performing, I don't know, Saka's slightly disappointing. I feel like he's kind of held back a little bit this season. Hasn't really seen the best version of him. So for me, starting off, I'm going to go start Mbumo, bench Esteval. Sorry, star boy.
Nah.
I'm sorry, star boy.
That's crazy, bro.
Give me that 100 more transfer value. He's gone. That's my three.
Amin, anything you got to say to that? What's your start and what's your sub and your sell?
I'll put... The thing is, Mbumo's been good since he got moved to striker. But when he was at right wing, I was kind of mixed on him. I'll be alright. I'm gonna put Saka number 1 still. I'm gonna put Esteval 2, and I'm gonna put Mbumo 3rd. Because you're comparing him to right wingers, right? Mbumo. His best work's come in the last few games where he's played centre forward. I know he's scoring goals before that, but I don't want to go into stats, but Saka's underlying numbers this season have been quite good. He's got I think, second highest open play chances created in the league behind Bruno. He's been let down by a lot of his attackers that haven't been putting away, some good crosses, some good balls that he's put in for them. The thing is with Saka, what you were saying before, you're saying expectations. So I get it, because for me, he's the best player out of the three. And you could say for his standards, he's been below par. I agree with that. But if we're going off just, their form this season, I think Saka's still been better than Esteval. I mean, he's a good talent. He's been good, but he's not been starting week in, week out. Some games he's been off the bench, I think he started off the season on fire. Remember, he had a good patch of form when they played Barcelona midweek. But I want to say he's been too consistent over the course of the whole season either. Saka's been dealing with injuries, that's true. But, in the UCL, he's been good, I would say. In a lot of those big games, he's played well. And in the Prem, I think the difference with Saka this season, he hasn't given us the moments that he's usually given us. But his all-round game over 90, I think it's been fine. I think I'd still put him above those two. It's hard for me not to, because Arsenal's top of the league. If you're the starting right winger for a team top of the league, Man United, until they got rid of AMIN, their fans were in meltdown. I'd still put it in that order for me.
So you're going with Saka starting, Esteval sub, and selling Mbumo, yeah?
Yeah. If you're putting Mbumo with some strikers, because his best work's come through the middle for me, it'd be different. But as a right wing, I don't really see it. He's not too creative, doesn't really dribble well. Yeah,
listen, we're basing it off their seasons. It's a weird one because the point you made about Saka's season so far and whatnot, I think for a large chunk of the first part of the season, I think he had the highest expected assists and whatnot. And obviously, we know as Arsenal fans, we always kind of underperform in terms of our finishing. Gyökeres is struggling, Martinelli underperforming, Trossard, whoever it is, right? I think obviously recently now, because of his injuries, he's kind of gone down the list. I think it's Bruno Fernandes first and whatnot. But it's not the same level of Saka, but it's hard for me to blame him because, one, the injuries, still kind of recovering from that, getting injured, coming back and whatnot. Also, I just still don't think he's being used correctly. You know, I'm seeing him with chalk on his boots 24/7, and I'm seeing Jurgen Timber making like the inside runs and whatnot. So it's kind of hard because he doesn't have that same type of freedom that an Mbuma would have if he's at right wing, or an Esteva would have a right wing because he'd have people interchanging with him. So it's tough, but it's also hard to ignore Mbuma. I know, like you said, like when he was right wing, it wasn't great. Obviously, it was a 5-back, so it was like a inside full type thing, but he's got 9 goals in the league. He's got 2 assists. He's pretty much scored against every big team he's played against, I think. So it's a tough one. I think I'm going to sell Estevao. Nothing against him. It's more just like he's still learning his trade, you know, like as GULEED will know more than anyone, like especially under Maresca, he'll play a game, get subbed again, kind of manages the minutes and whatnot. So it's not like I'm using it against him, but it's more like he's one for the future, you know. I think these other two are more established than him. It's just a little toss-up between do I start Mbeumo or do I start Saka? Because I think if I'm just basing it off the quote-unquote what they've done, like big moments this season, it might have to be Mbeumo. If I'm basing it off their all-round play when they do play, their importance to their team sometimes, I still do think a lot of the games Saka is our best player, even if he doesn't get, you know, an assist or a goal. But I might just push it to start Mbeumo for now. I think I might just push start Mbeumo, sub Saka, sell Estevao. Clearly, just based off what's happened this season so far. If I'm talking about obviously them as their careers or one, I think it's quite a gap for me between Saka and Mbeumo. I don't even think like you can compare them, but yeah, I do think it's probably for me the best order to go with is start Saka, sub Mbeumo, sell Estevao. So if you're looking at it now, I think GULEED, you sold Saka, I think.
Yeah, yeah, sold Saka, bench Estevao, start Mbeumo. So right now we've got 2 people going starting Mbeumo. So it looks like that might be.
I think Mbeumo starting then, yeah, and then I think Saka sub and then Estevao sell. I think.
Well, Saka bench was you bench Saka, you bench Saka. I
bench Saka. Yeah, so I think average.
Me and Amin both bench Estevao. So that's 2 people.
But no one started Estevao though, so I think averages pushes him down.
Okay, but we've got 2 bench.
No, I know, but if you like do averages, no one started Estevao.
So who we benching?
I think it's gonna have to be Saka.
My case for Estevao. Sorry, my case for Estevao. 18 years old, he came into the league, still developing physically. No one really know what to expect, especially when he signed a kid from Brazil. How many guys has been tossed as the new Neymar to come in from Brazil, from a foreign league, and he settled straight away. First game, started against away to West Ham when Palmer kind of had that groin injury. He got tossed in at the last minute. Probably not our best player. He was out of fault for the first goal, still learning his trade, but got that assist, performed really, really well, got man of the match, and he kicked on from there. Like you guys mentioned, the Barcelona game where he scored. Maresca kind of held him back a little bit because he's still developing, he's still young. But when he's playing, in terms of shots per 90, dribbles to the box per 90, goals and assists that he's producing per 90 when he was playing, he was ranked right at the top. So for me, it's extremely hard to ignore Estevao. Don't forget Club World Cup in terms of he scored against Chelsea. His time at Brazil, even across this calendar year where he broke a lot of Neymar's records as a teenager. Like he went to Brazil. How many goals did he score for Brazil when he went to Brazil? Like, he was taking penalties ahead of Vinicius Jr. Don't forget, that's this season. It's not like 2 years ago. That was this season where he was taking penalties ahead of Vinicius Jr. So for me, I think it's extremely hard to ignore an 18-year-old coming from a foreign league and performing at a really high level. I can't. I've got
him on the bench. To be fair, I've got him on the bench.
Yeah, I got him on the bench as well.
I think you're reading it wrong, GULEED. I don't think anyone's ignoring him or pushing him down. I think it's like I said, and I think like Amin said as well. It's more just his ceiling is unbelievable. I think he's going right to the top. I think he's going to be one of the best players. I think he's going to start in the World Cup a lot of games. I just think as of right now, I still can't ignore Saka's overall package. You know, you go to Arsenal and like you look at their team. Saka's always like top 3 most important players. Obviously, even before this season, it was like who's the most important player at Arsenal? It's Saka. For like those 4 or 5 years, and then even now it's like you look Gabriel, Rice, Saka, or Saliba, Rice, and Saka, and he's always in those conversations. And every single defender, the way they talk about him, every single attacker, every single coach, the way they talk about him. And I just think he's always hardly done with the way he's used, with his numbers sometimes. But it's I think if we look at it here and what we've done, we have one person starting him. So I think averages it does push him up. So I think we're gonna go Mbeumo, Saka, Estevao. But if you're going potential, I do think Estevao does jump up. Cool. We'll stick with that one, boys. Next one. Gabriel Magalhaes William Saliba and Virgil van Dijk. How we putting this one up? I mean,
Look, we're going off just
let me
this
ask you.
season.
Let me ask you one question first. Actually, as an Arsenal fan, who forget form? This is like just a general question. Who is Arsenal's best centre back for you?
Saliba. I've always maintained that.
Okay, yeah.
For me, what's proven it for me is we've seen periods where Gabriel's been injured and Saliba's been fit. And we've seen periods where Saliba's been injured and Gabriel's been fit. And I think the defensive unit, whoever sort of partners Saliba, always looks more comfortable with compared to who's been partnering Gabriel. That's the best kind of way I can look. Gabriel, I think, in both the boxes, probably edges Saliba. I think, especially when, you know, from the corners that he scores and whatnot, and some important goals as well. But when I'm talking about an all-round centre-back, you know, the term gets thrown around for some players, but Saliba really is a Rolls Royce of a defender. I think Arsenal play a lot of their football with Saliba on the high line. I don't know if there's many centre-backs in the world that I would want pushing up that far up the pitch other than Saliba. And Gabriel is top as well, you know. It's like, I wouldn't be mad if someone says Gabriel's better, but for me, it's Saliba, man.
And then, in this start sub-sell, then how would you order it? Again, it is based off this season, right? But how would you still put this ranking?
Yeah, this season, I think I'd have Saliba, Gabriel, and Van Dijk.
So Saliba starting, yeah?
Yeah, Saliba starting for me.
What about you, GULEED?
For me, I'm gonna have to start Gabriel. I think this season, I mean, he had injury, like he was injured for a little bit and missed a couple of games. But I think overall package wise this season, I'm gonna have to say Gabriel has probably been the best centre back in the league. I think offensively he's dangerous, in the box he's dangerous, and he's improved so much over the last 4 or 5 years. So this season alone, for me, I'm gonna start Gabriel. I love Saliba, I'm gonna bench Saliba, and I'm gonna have to sell Van Dijk. Van Dijk has not looked like the Van Dijk that we all know this season. But yeah, that's gonna be my start sub-sell.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I think I do agree with GULEED more just because of this season. I think the way Gabriel started this season, I think if he didn't get injured, I think he would have been, for me, front runner for PFA, right? Obviously now it's Declan Rice, deservedly so, by the way, but I think Gabriel's level over this last 2 years has been unbelievable. I'm talking like best in the world shouts, right? Obviously last year Van Dijk won the league and Van Dijk was talked, but I still think they were neck and neck. I just think Van Dijk had the accolades. I think Gabriel, you know, he's one of the only centre backs we know that's beaten the Bozo gene. He's known as probably the best defender, the best player in both boxes, whether it's offensively or defensively. He's the leader at the back for Arsenal. He's like the captain without the armband all the time. I think Saliba, the issue for him is he's a victim of his own success in terms of like he's so good that everyone underrates him now, which is mental, by the way, because I think Saliba walks it's crazy because both of them walk into every team in the world for me. Both of them. I don't think there's any centre back partnership that will keep in these. Obviously, some people argue like Bastoni over Gabriel and whatnot, and obviously that's for Serie A fans to argue. But I just think these two are unbelievable, man, and hopefully they get their title because I think that will put them in some very interesting conversations alongside the best centre back duos of all time. But yeah, if I'm going off this season particularly, I'm going to go Gabriel, Saliba quite closely below, and then Virgil a bit of a distance below. But Virgil's 35 as well, man. His career's been unbelievable. But yeah, I think that's probably the most fair list we can go for.
Just on Saliba, do you know what it is for me? It's that I think Gabriel gets a lot of plaudits because his defending is more noticeable. I don't really know how to explain that, but you see him make more crunching tackles, really good blocks, last-ditch defending. Saliba, it kind of goes unnoticed. He's a lot calmer. You know, the ball comes towards him. You'll see him take really good touches to beat a defender instead of sort of do that really like, you know, probably like defensive like clearance, and which you'll see Gabriel do. Yeah, it's a toss-up between the two, to be fair. They're both unreal centre-backs.
I mean, the way they both use, right, is Gabriel is the enforcer. Gabriel's the brute. Gabriel's the one that steps up and presses high. You see Gabriel's position way higher up, and then Saliba's the cover. Saliba's the one that stays back with the striker, right? So his job is always like the Brobbies or all these strikers that want to stay on the last line, the Ollie Watkins. And then Gabriel's whole thing is pushing up and staying up. So
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
they
It's
work.
preference. It's preference.
Yeah, they work perfectly together. Obviously, Saliba's ceiling is unbelievable. Yeah, I think Gabriel is probably the best centre back in the world. So the list is Gabriel, Saliba, Van Dijk. Cool. Next one, boys. Bruno Fernandes, Martin Odegaard, and Florian Wirtz. Now, I think the starter will be very easy. I think.
Yeah.
But I want to hear from GULEED first. What would you rank these three players?
I mean, first start Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a debate. I don't think anyone's going to put anyone other than Bruno Fernandes to start. It's a difficult one because
do you think that Bruno Fernandes breaks the assist record this season?
No, I mean, we've seen so many guys get close to it and not break it. We've seen KDB was stuck on, 19, 20 for how long? Salah got close to it last season. Had like 18. He had scored 2 more assists or 3 more assists in the last like 12 or 13 games. Didn't break it. Ozil got close. Like he was basically on 18 or 19 by January and he didn't break it. So like, I think that curse is low-key looks to be cursed. I mean, that record looks like it's going to be cursed.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to anytime soon. But no, I don't think Bruno's going to break that record. I think it's going to stay intact. I think Henry's going to keep that for a little while longer. But
so is the gap between the starter and the other two like pretty big, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's like noticeable drop off. Bruno starts, like no debate. When it comes to who am I going to sell, I think at the moment, as I'm thinking, I'm leaning more towards Wirtz to sell, based on the expectation and the price tag and what we expected Wirtz to do. I mean, recently Wirtz has kicked on. He's done really, really well. Scored some important goals. I think his link up with Katike across the season actually has been quite good. We saw him in the Community Shield against Palace. They linked up really well. Katike scored a goal. And I think Wirtz has showed moments, especially in Europe, when the game's a bit more open, it's not as physical, that he can actually kind of get on the ball, turn, dribble, create chances. And he's looked dangerous. So I really like Wirtz. I think there's potential there. I think Premier League looked too physical for him. So it might take time to settle in. But I just think in terms of the price tag, the expectations of Wirtz, where Liverpool are in the table, I'm going to have to lean towards sell Wirtz. I think Wirtz is a better player than Odegaard. I think he has a better ceiling than Odegaard. And I think he potentially go on to have a better career than Odegaard. I think he's a better player. But just this season alone, I have been slightly disappointed with Odegaard. But in terms of what I expected Wirtz to do, what everyone expected Wirtz to do, the price tag and where Liverpool are on the table, I'm going to have to go sell Wirtz and I'm going to bench Odegaard.
Okay. Amin, I'm interested to hear your one, especially about Martin Odegaard, because you do have some strong opinions about him. What do you make of his season in particular? And do you put that down to the way he's been used? Do you put that down to just him in general? And another question also, do you think for Bruno Fernandes, do you think this is his best season so far at Manchester United? Because I did hear that being thrown around.
I don't think it's his best season, no. But that's credit to him. You know, I think it was not the first season he joined when he came in January, but his first full season after that, I think, was his best. I know he scored a lot of penalties, but he was in some crazy combos when he first joined. People are comparing him to KDB. Not that I think he's in that conversation, but that's the level that he was at.
I think everyone gets compared to KDB. Didn't Odegaard get compared as well?
Odegaard got compared to KDB when he was, having his best season as well. With Odegaard, it's been disappointing, man. Like, I know he's had injuries, so he hasn't really had a good run of games, with full rhythm. But I just think the way we play now, I do think it's time to move him on. I think he's in that same bracket of players as the first title race when, we had that first team was Zinchenko, Jesus, Partey, Odegaard. I think he's in that crop. I don't think he was able to evolve like some of the other players did, like Saka. Martinelli's still, he's still hanging around. Even him, he's maybe another one to move on. But Odegaard, yeah, just disappointing, man. I don't think he's a 10. We're comparing him to Bruno and Wirtz, who are, for me, out and out 10s. They've definitely got deeper bags than him in that position, especially Wirtz. Yeah, Odegaard, man. I've got a love-hate relationship with him because there's been times where he's been played a bit deeper, where he's been given more responsibility to build up, and I think that's when he's at his best. But when we've now signed Zubimendi, all of that looks redundant now. Everything Odegaard does genuinely looks redundant. You've seen Zubimendi chipping with goals now as well. Yeah, I'll still have him. If I was to rank it, I'll still have Bruno, Odegaard, Wirtz, just based on Verts was so poor for a large chunk of this season. Like, really struggling to get to grips with the Prem. I do think he'll go on to be a better 10 than Odegaard. This could even change by the end of the season because he's already started to pick up form now for Liverpool. But that's where my head's at with it right now. Odegaard, yeah, compared to Bruno as well, you're right in saying it is Bruno and Odegaard, especially in the number 10. If you ask me who's a better footballer, there's conversations to be had there, I guess, because, you know, especially on the eye, Odegaard, he does do some nice things. He is quite silky, but yeah, as an out and out number 10, out of the three, I would say he is gonna end up being the one move aside that people are gonna forget about. But yeah, Capitano.
Odegaard's had a weird 18 months or so. I think since that ankle injury last season, I think it's been a bit spooky for him. He's weird though because like we didn't have him for a long period. We had that little Eze and Gyökeres type thing going on while he was out. He comes back and then it's like that Brighton, Aston Villa, that Bournemouth game, the Everton game where it's like, oh my God, Odegaard's back. We missed him so much. Like he has that little dimension that we didn't have, and then like he just goes back into this weird form, and now you want him out of the team. I think he might have reached his ceiling with the club, which is upsetting because I like the guy a lot, man. I like the guy a lot. I want to see him succeed. You know, he looks like, I don't agree with this whole thing where he shouldn't be the captain. Is he really a captain? Like this old school Roy Keane captain thing is gone, man. Like you've got a leadership group. They all respect him. You see the way that Declan Rice speaks about it is always like we respect him. He does a lot for the team on and off the pitch and everything like that. Like even the small things, like he sets the press. You can see him all the time talking to the players, the wingers, like get up, squeeze, and all that type of thing. But I think he's in a weird patch of form. And I do think if we do win the league, I think for me it's probably the best way to just part ways. Like leave on a high. I want to remember you good rather than hate you, if that makes sense. Bruno Fernandes, I'm not a fan. Everyone knows this. I'm a hater, but I can't ignore when someone's playing unbelievable. I think what he does suits this team a lot. This fast-paced, counter-attacking football for Man United right now under Carrick. You have Mbeumo running, you had Dorgu running, Cunha, whoever it is running behind them. He's so good at that first time, put it over. He's so good at like getting the ball and just finding a chance. And I know it might look like he's always just looking for that same pass, but I'd rather that than like always playing it safe, man. And that's the issue we have sometimes with Martin Odegaard because he's too safe. I think that both of them are like at different ends of the extreme, if that makes sense. That's why like KDB was a good balance. He knew when to make that pass. He knew when to keep it moving. He knew when to involve other players. But yeah, and I think also like with Verts, I think he's waking up a bit. He's got 4 goals, 2 assists in the Premier League. He did start off really, really slow. I think there was like 007 talk, so I don't know how long it lasted, but he's waking up. I think he has flashes, which is good. We know how brilliant of a player he is. Everyone's seen him at Bayern Leverkusen. Everyone's seen the unbelievable seasons he has for them. And, coming back from that disgusting ACL at such a young age and going up on other levels, unbelievable. But I think it's hard. I don't really like to judge players too much in their first season in the Premier League. You've seen some of the best players in the Premier League struggle in their first year, and it is a very poor Liverpool side. So it's not the easiest environment to walk into. So, yeah, I think Bruno Fernandes, clear. And then I'm probably going to go Verts and then Odegaard, to be honest, for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I might go Verts. I think because this comes from more of a bias thing of like how upset I am with Odegaard. For me, like I think he isn't delivering the way I want him to. Yes, I do watch more Arsenal games than Liverpool, but I think a bit of recency bias as well. I think even today's game, I think Verts played pretty well. So I think recency bias and just Arsenal bias that I haven't been happy with Odegaard at all. So I'm gonna go Bruno, Wirtz. But it's like this, it's like Wirtz and Odegaard. It's like this. There's not much in it, but I'm definitely gonna go with that. So all of us have clearly agreed that Bruno's first. Did both of you have Odegaard sub?
Yeah.
I'll sum the order out. So it's going to end up with Odegaard sub anyway, and then Florian Wirtz. But it can interchange, like you both said, by the end of the season anyway. Like I think Wirtz can jump over, especially if he does finish the season strong. And if Odegaard doesn't get back into form, then I think there'll be some interesting conversations about him at the end of the season.
He's not been pivotal this season. That's the biggest thing.
We can live without him.
Play well without him.
Yeah,
we've seen him be fit, not play, and then I've seen Marino in the number 10 this season genuinely look more threatening, picking out better passes than him. That's damning, man. That's really damning.
No, it's scary. But cool, I've got another interesting one. We're going to go Morgan Rogers, Ryan Cherky, and Cole Jermaine Palmer. Guled,
on this season alone, that's a crazy one.
I'll give you this.
Guled, this season.
I think, listen, listen, people know what I think about Cole Palmer. I think he's one of the best players in the Premier League, and there's no debate. In terms of creativity, in terms of finishing, I think his finishing is actually so underrated. I generally think Cole Palmer as a finisher is probably one of the best in the league, and I'll put him actually in around the top 3 behind Haaland in terms of pure finishing. If you look at the way he strikes the ball inside of his boot and he finds the bottom corner, look at his penalties, by the way. He scored 17 penalties out of 18, and he's always damn near in a corner. Like, he doesn't miss his penalties. So I think Cole Palmer is one of the best players in the Premier League, but this season he's been injured for probably 90% of the season. Like I think he's only completed 3 or 4 90 minutes this whole season. He still put up some good numbers. I think got 8 goals in the Premier League, got an assist. So he's still putting up good numbers. I think his best performance this season was last night against last night. In terms of Leeds. Leeds we drew 2-2, but in terms of getting on the ball, creating chances, obviously scored a penalty. But in terms of his overall,
hey man, we saw that miss though. We saw that miss.
Man, talking about finishing.
Yeah, look, it happened. It bubbled up just before it. But I can't. We shouldn't be in a position in the first place. That's a whole different argument. But that was definitely his best performance this season. But like I said, he's been injured for 90% of the season. So for me, it's hard for me to put him in the mix when those guys have played all season and they've produced and they've been around the whole year. So yeah, I know I'm beating around the bush because I don't want to say it, but
just put him in the bottom, man.
No, you know what it is. Man. Nah, but
say the damn line.
You can't do it. You can't do it. I don't think it's fair having these conversations though, because when he's fit and playing, he's starting week in, week out, 100%.
Okay,
no, of course. But he said just this season.
Based on this season, I'm gonna start Ryan Cherky.
Can you talk about Cherky a bit as well? I feel like you just brushed over Cherky and Rogers.
Yeah, sorry, I went straight into Cole Palmer. I went to defense, but I've got to make a case for my boy. Now, Ryan Cherky, I think gone for 30-odd million in terms of creativity, in terms of numbers. He's up there as one of the best creative midfielders in the league. But we knew that if you guys tapped into the French league, you knew this guy's one of the best in terms of technically talented players in the world. The way he gets on the ball, he's creative, he's silky with it. He's through balls. He sees little Roberto crosses as well. I think he's actually been, for the price as well, has been probably one of the best signings in the Premier League this season. So, listen, a huge fan of Ryan Cherky. He's been a wonder kid. I'm pretty sure he broke into the Lyon team at 16 years of age. So, extremely talented player. I'm glad that he's finally being in the spotlight now as well. So, for me, he's been one of the most creative players in the Premier League. So, I'm gonna have to start Ryan Cherky for sure. Big player. Morgan Rogers as well. I think I said for the start of the season a bit slow. The first 5 games they didn't score a goal. Right, Morgan Rogers looked a bit slow. He didn't really impact games. Him and Watkins had a slow start to the season. But I think that November-December period, Rogers kicked on extremely well. He scored a couple bangers, scored a couple brilliant goals. He's got 8 or 9 goals in the Premier League this season as well. I'm not the hugest fan of Morgan Rogers. I just think as a number 10, I want a bit more creativity, like what Ryan Cherky got. That creativity, that silkiness, that good on the eye, find that free balls, get in between the lines. Rogers doesn't really have that. He's more pace and power. He's more getting a ball, turn, drive, shoot. So I wouldn't technically say he's one of my favorite players. But I'm gonna off this season, I'm gonna have to put Morgan Rogers on the bench.
Who's selling?
Hey, listen, don't make me say it, man. I don't want to say anything.
The real owner of this celebration.
We're filming, man. We gotta move on, man. Say it, man. Like Max Kadar says, go.
Yeah, only because he hasn't played this season and he's only played 3 or 4 90 minutes. And when he has played, he has looked a bit slow. He has looked a bit sluggish. He has looked a bit off the boil. He's only had, in my opinion, 2 good performances this season, which against Leeds, and I think he's going against Brentford as well. But I'm gonna have to, based on this season alone, unfortunately, sell Cole Palmer. Oh, I can't even believe I'm saying it.
What's your thoughts on that 3? But also, I want to ask you about Cherky, especially. He's been good. There's also been that little question marks of players like him and Reinders and whatnot being the reason why City aren't so good defensively, just because of how poor they are off the ball. But what do you make of his season as a whole? And do you think he's like cemented that he's way more important than Phil Foden, or is it still a thing where it's like one in, one out, depending on game status, etc.?
Well, they do always rotate at City. That's the thing. Like Shirky was in top form, and then all of a sudden he's not starting 3 weeks straight. Big games as well, not starting. Having impacts off the bench, to be fair, but I think that's more of a pet thing than anything. But Shirky for me, man, that's for me when I'm watching football, that's the best number 10 in the league. Look, we've just lost KDB. I don't think he can maybe reach those levels, but he's a worthy successor. Shirky is top, man. You know, I got a bit of Algerian bias as well. Look, he picked France. We won't speak on that, but nah, Shirky's top. I think creativity, it's not just about the numbers. Look, his numbers are phenomenal as well, but it's not just looking into that. It's like when you're watching him, he's creative from anywhere on the pitch. Both foot, the angles don't matter for him, and he's able to dribble to create chances as well. I think the difference between him and Bruno's final balls may be more decisive. I think he can maybe impact the final third a bit more, but Shirky's able to do quite a bit more. Because I know the convo is not about Bruno, but you know, for me, Shirky's going to be there. Morgan Rogers there. Bruno's the only guy in the league that could maybe challenge a player like Shirky. That's genuinely where I'd have him this season. Shirky's been top, man. I feel like I'm loving him off a bit too much because, hey, man, I don't want him to spearhead them to a title or anything. But what a player! What a player! There was some crazy takes at the start of the season about him. I don't think he's quite that level, and the physicality. I think he did struggle a little bit at the start of the season, but he's taken to the Premier League well, man. And you know, him and Haaland was a few weeks midway through the season where they had a really good connection. It was like constantly assisting one another. What you were saying about Foden, man, Foden, as good as he is and can be, it's been years now that, you know, fans have been saying, is he going to make that Man City team his? And every season they're sort of signing a player in that position, and Foden's not the starter. He's not really seized the opportunity. So, yeah, man, I would say Shirky is better than Foden. I think he's got a deeper bag. I think there's more aspects of the game that Shirky can affect. For me, Shirky's a bit of a retro, a bit of a throwback footballer. You know, you don't see that many players doing the kind of skill moves that he'll do. You know, he'll dribble maybe when it's not the best option, but he'll still do it. He's a really exciting player. And then yeah, Palmer. He's been one of the best players in the Premier League for the past few seasons. But it's not any fault of his own. He has been injured. But yeah, he's gonna be sold, unfortunately, in that list. And Morgan Rogers, top player as well. But like GULEED was saying, I don't think as a pure number 10 as well, I don't think his bag's as deep as either of them. He's been a better performer than Palmer, but a lot of his best work is off the left as well. We can't forget that. You know, he's not in those central areas. I think he is able to progress. He's able to carry the ball. You know, he's a really, really powerful player. Does he have that kind of incisive sort of passing? Not so much. Not like the other two, definitely not. You know, if him scores bangers, you know what? I'd attribute him a bit to like similar to Eze, man, in terms of that mold of kind of number 10 but can play on the wing, Morgan Rogers. So for me, as a pure number 10, Shirky is going to be above him, performing better, and as an overall package, the player, nah, man, different gravy.
I think that's fair. You know, with both of you going for Shirky, I think he's been unbelievable player. We all know how many years, how many transfer windows they're talking about. When is Shirky finally leaving Lyon? Who's gonna buy him? And there was a few clubs that always wanted him. I think at one point Arsenal were interested as well. But obviously, he finally got his big move. He finally got his dream move, and it's put him on the world stage. You know, like GULEED said earlier, like everyone knew how talented he was at Lyon, but he was there for so long and never made a step up that some people will now question him, or people will talk about maybe he's not getting signed because he's not great off the ball and things like that. But when you've got that much raw talent, man, it's hard to deny. And like we've seen it, like GULEED said, with the Rabona assist, with the incisive passing through the gaps, 1-2s, His green link chemistry with Haaland straight away is just unbelievable. And I think he's a top player, man. Do I think he's the type of player you can build a team around? No. Do I think he's always going to be your most important attacker? No. Do I see him as like a Saka where everyone looks towards you in your team? No, but you don't have to be. The way Pep builds his squads is he's got so many quality players, and like Amin said, what he'll do is he'll just keep rotating depending on game state, or he'll play you 4 games in a row and then drop you 2 games in a row, and then he'll have Doku starting where Doku had a little purple patch, and then Semenyo comes in now. Semenyo's doing well. Foden has a little purple patch, so he's in a good system where you don't have to put too much pressure on him, which is good. But I think, yeah, he does start. Morgan Rogers is a weird one for me. I think he's unbelievable. I don't subscribe to this whole thing where I mark him down because he can't make incisive passes or not. He's like an Eze, like a Jude Bellingham, where they're good at what they do. They're very effective at what they do. Their pace and their power, their striking, and they're very intelligent players, man. You know, at the end of the day, like in today's day and age, in today's football, the strength he has, the power he has, driving through the middle. We've seen it against Arsenal with, I think it was against Thomas Partey, where he's just shrugging him off and whatnot, and just throwing him on the floor. Like, he's unbelievable, man. And I think he deserves to make that step up at some point as well, because I just don't see Aston Villa staying at the top for a while. You know, I think when Emery goes, and I think he might go to like Real Madrid in the summer, I think they slowly start to fall down. So I think that's the type of player that some of these big clubs should be looking at. And Cole Palmer, listen, I know I make jokes to GULEED and whatnot. I know I laugh and say penalties and all that, but he's unbelievable, man. He's unbelievable. I'm a big fan of Palmer. I do make jokes because I'm jealous a bit. I think his bag is very deep. But yeah, unlucky with injuries. I think sometimes he isn't great. I'll be real, sometimes he isn't great, but that's normal. Not every player is unbelievable 24/7. But yeah, based off this season, definitely probably sell and then sub Morgan Rogers, start Ryan Shirky. I think that's the same list for everyone. So we're just gonna stick with that one. Cool. Last one, boys. I've got about 3 or 4 different ones. I'm just trying to decide which one I want to go for. Do you guys want to do a striker one or a goalkeeper one?
Striker.
Striker? Okay, cool. Hugo Ekitike, Victor Gyökeres, and Benjamin Sesko.
Yeah, mention João Pedro. How's João Pedro not in conversation? What's going on? He's got 10 non-penalty goals in the Premier League.
Yeah, get that guy out of here, man.
Come on.
He's not on the list, man.
He's number 10, bro.
Give that guy some love, man.
Number 10 this season.
I was gonna make a case for my boy, but come on.
No. I can start with this one. I think I'll start. I think all 3 of them have been, for me, underwhelming. All 3 of them. I think Hugo Ekitike, listen, I love him. Amin knows that I wanted him at Arsenal in the summer. He's my type of striker per se and whatnot. I love how clean he is when he plays, the way he can drive through players, his technical brilliance, and he does score a few good goals. However, I do think the media and Liverpool fans and rival fans have maybe like hyped him a bit too much, because if you look at his goal scoring records, big games, I don't really see him scoring. And again, I don't think Gyökeres does the same thing as well, so I'm not like marking him down for that, but I think he's been good. But do I think he's lived up to his price tag? No. But do I think he's seen as like he's lived up to it because of how good he looks on the eye and things like that? Yes. And that's the thing, because I think him and Gyökeres, I think they scored close enough to a similar amount of goals in the Premier League, or even all comps. But obviously Gyökeres is known as like the major flop and whatnot, and one's known as like a really successful signing. So it's a bit weird to me, especially because I think the price difference is about 20 million as well. I think Gyökeres is signed for about what, 60 million. I think Ekitike is about 80. Don't quote me. I think it's around that region. I do think Sesko has been probably the most underwhelming one. I think I expected that. I remember when we were looking to sign him at Arsenal, me and Amin had a few chats, and we both kind of knew and agreed that Sesko wouldn't bang straight away. Even if he came to Arsenal, you know, he'll take some bedding in time or whatnot. That's why I like what Carrick's doing. You know, he's not starting him. You know, he's not forcing him to take all the pressure. And this is the last couple of games, he's coming off the bench and scoring goals, man. And you know, he's won them a game, he's drew them a game. So he's starting to wake up, and he's got all the qualities to be a top striker. You know, I think he ticks a lot of the boxes in terms of his height, his pace, his finishing, his shot power, like everything. Like he's got everything to be like, if you're building a striker in a lab, he's got it all. He's got it all. But I think next season, if Man United stay playing well and Carrick stays, I think maybe he'll take a step up. But if I'm going off this season, I might have to sell him. And This is hard, man. Ekitike or Gyökeres, I don't know, boys, man. I think they've both been okay. I genuinely think Ekitike has been overhyped. I genuinely believe he's been overhyped, and I think Gyökeres is. I'm a Gyökeres hater. I have been a Gyökeres hater. Do I want him to succeed 100%? But I think they've both been mid. So I'm not even gonna say the start and sub. I wanna hear what Amin says, and then I'll kind of base it off what he gives.
Yeah. I mean, just before I get into them two, Sesko is going to be the bottom for me. He's actually the striker that I wanted at Arsenal. I think because of some of the injuries we've had, we're kind of better off that we did go for that ready-made striker in Gyökeres. But if Havertz would have been fit all season, Sesko would have been the guy for me. And I've told you guys this before. I think he's an unbelievable talent, but he's not ready yet. He's not ready yet. But onto those two. Look, one of them on a technical level is so far clear of the other. Like, it's not even measurable how clear Ekitike is of Gyökeres. On the eye, on the ball, first touch, all of that. Although his first touch was looking like a bit of a donkey against City, but it was a one-off. Goal scoring, they're similar. You know, Ekitike's had more chances this season than Gyökeres, I'm pretty sure. He's had a higher XG. You know, it's a guy who, you know, has had more created for him. I've often said, look, I don't rate Gyökeres particularly too highly, but we hardly play for him. And I've seen in recent weeks, the ball's coming to him a lot more and he's scoring a lot more. It's not rocket science, you know. People like to meme the Portuguese league, but you don't score 100 goals in 2 years and you're all of a sudden dead. You know, you might be overrated or whatnot, but you're not going to be awful, not to the level that he was starting the season with. It's tough, man. I see GULEED shaking his head. But GULEED, man, I think that's like what Shuceeb was saying, bro. I think this is a lot of hype about Ekitike. He's not scored against any of the top 10. Did you know that? He's not scored against any of the top 10, bro. Arsenal,
I think they've both been mid, man.
They've both been mid, but one guy joined Arsenal and we're top of the league. One guy joined Liverpool, the current champions, and they're what, 6th, 5th, whatever they are now after their win tonight.
I think
honestly, I don't think it's a crazy conversation at this point in the season. I think people will just say Ekitike like that. I don't think they're actually watching these players week in, week out. Ekitike's been patchy, very patchy.
Before you continue, I think there was a little period, like you said, patchy. Yeah, I think there was a period where he didn't score for a long time as well. Yeah. I think it's a lot of PR. I am probably going to end up going. Sorry?
Why wasn't he scoring for a long time?
Yeah, Ekitike.
Because he played one game. Because we played.
Yeah, he was in and out of the team. When Isak was fit, he was in and out of the team.
And Isak played another game. It's hard as a striker to have that consistent game and score goals when you're playing 1 week. Next week you're not playing. You come off the bench. You start. You come off the bench. You don't play. Like, it's hard to get that consistency. I think the most important thing for a striker is consistent game time. It's like a goalkeeper. You play goalkeeper consistently. You play your number 9 consistently. You can't just chop and change them. And when he played consistently in the team, who's putting in the numbers in, who's scoring goals and having impacts on.
He's an inconsistent finisher though.
Before you continue, sorry, he started 17 out of the 23 games he's played, bro. So he's starting majority of the time that he's playing, regardless of when Isak.
In recent games.
No, Isak was even coming off the bench for him. So it's like it's one of the ones where both of them have had a weird start because Gyökeres was never meant to start for Arsenal, bro. It was meant to be Havertz starting, Gyökeres eased in. So I think both of them have it didn't work out the right way at the beginning of the season for them. I do think they've both been underwhelming, and I'm going to keep saying that. I think one of them is like a PR thing in terms of the looks, the tech and whatnot. Gyökeres looks clunky and, you know, he looks rough and whatnot. But Amin said it perfectly in terms of we don't create for him. I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, bro, but we don't create for him. And I know sometimes you have to create for yourself. 100% agree. You have to make the right runs. I think the ball bobbles off him too much. I think his hold-up play is poor. But there's some games where he's looking decent, bro. And I rarely see him take a shot and miss, you know, or at least miss the target. You know, he's not
been slandered this season for like having howlers in front of goal.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Which is what we usually criticize a striker for, you know.
Exactly.
When we brought in Gyökeres, everyone knew what he was. You know, he wasn't a technical footballer. We're not expecting him to pull something out of the bag randomly. Those are what the other signings were for. Someone like Eze. Gyökeres, we just thought, no nonsense, number 9, someone completely different profile was to the other 2 9s that we currently have. I think he's been heavily over-criticized this season, Gyökeres, honestly. And look,
from my side as well, I've over-criticized him. Well, I have over-criticized him.
Because now that he's scoring goals, people are going quiet.
Yeah.
Has his performances changed all too much? Maybe they're slightly better. He looks a bit sharper, I'd say, a bit more adept to the league, but not really. And this is the difference. You score a tap in, no one's talking about the performance anymore. If we were doing that consistently for him this season, the conversations would have been very different, you know. And Ekitike, I've seen him get a lot of the ball in games and genuinely not be able to cope sometimes with the physicality. There has been games, that City game is fresh in my mind. The ball was bobbling off him. He was not able to compete with those centre-backs at all in that game. I think about the two games against Arsenal as well. I don't think Ekitike was great in either of them. Not that Gyökeres was great for us either, because he really struggled against Van Dijk and Konate, but it's a toss-up, man. Honestly, look, my bias is going to tell me Gyökeres. I'm probably going to put Ekitike because that's my kind of striker. I'd rather that. So I am going to put Ekitike there. But I do have to put Gyökeres' case forward as well, because Glenn looks like he's about to just go, Gyökeres, sell him, whatever. He's about to throw him under the bus. So I'm gonna defend my striker who has us top of the league before this guy's gonna rip him to shreds like everyone's been doing. Look, Ekitike, Gyökeres, Sesko. But I had to put my case forward first, man. That guy's been slandered way too much this season.
Yeah, I think before GULEED gets into it, I think that's to make it clear, GULEED, we're just making it understand, like making you understand his case and whatnot. I do think Ekitike still starts. I think Ekitike has had a slightly better season, but coming from Arsenal fans and coming from someone who has criticized him a lot, and everyone has seen it, I do think one is just crazy PR and the other one's just been abused by pundits and content creators and fans too much, bro. So,
bro, I've seen hit pieces on Gyökeres from random journos thinking, no, you're not doing this for other players. You know, Gyökeres, there's a lot of other strikers that, you know, they've not been performing well either. Gyökeres is the worst striker in the league or something. I mean, Arsenal's top of the league, and he's the leading 9. Not that he's, you know, the main contributing factor, but he is one of them. He's part of it. He's part of the team.
No, 100%.
Games.
100%. But GULEED, take it away. This is the last. Obviously starts to sell. So take it away. What's your rankings?
Listen, I'm not. I like Gyökeres. I'm not gonna sit here and like rip into him and say he's this and he's that. Like, listen, everyone knows what his flaws are. Technically, he isn't the best. I think his layoff into passes in terms of passing to his teammates isn't the best. I think his movement could be slightly better, but I'm not here to rip into him. I think Gyökeres is a decent, good player. But I mean, listen, you guys kind of brush off Sesko like he's nothing. I will still sell Sesko, but I think in 2026, how many people scored more Premier League goals than him? He's slowly getting into the season.
Can I butt in? No player scored more goals than Gyökeres in 2026, bro.
Yeah, no
in Premier League.
In the Premier League.
How many Gyökeres scored in the Premier League this season in 2026?
I saw the stat the other day before this game week though.
For 2 against Sunderland, scored against
he's got 6. I think he's got 6.
Gyökeres.
Yeah.
He's got
something
2 against Sunderland.
He's got 6 in all competitions, unless GULEED saying only in the Premier.
I'm talking about in the Premier League. Because obviously Sesko
he's got 3 in the Prem.
You got 2 against Sunderland and he scored against Leeds.
That's I think the stat was all comps in 2026 Premier League players. Sorry,
all comps. Yeah, but Sesko is not playing. Unfortunately, United knocked out all of our competition, so it's not really fair to kind of judge it. In the Premier League, to my knowledge, I don't think anyone has scored more Premier League goals in 2026 than Sesko. So I think I will still sell Sesko because I think his start to the season was abysmal, and I think Gyökeres and Ekitike has done more in the Premier League. But I think Sesko has slowly been improving, and he's been getting some big goals for them. He scored a big goal against West Ham when they needed him. He scored 2 goals against Burnley when they needed him. So slowly, I think he's actually been improving and kind of shown his worth. I will still sell Sesko, but I still wanted to touch on Sesko a little bit, just to say, hey guys, like, he hasn't been the best, but I think there's a play in there because in terms of his profile, like you said,
he scored 2 goals. He scored 2 goals. Sorry, my bad. 4 goals. Sorry, yeah. Continue. Sorry, yeah. Continue.
So listen, like Sesko's improving. Like, in terms of if you're gonna go into a lab and you're gonna build a number 9, who are you gonna go and build? 6'5", 6'6", crazy leap, athleticism through the roof, ball striking, both feet. Sesko is like a prototype player. If you're gonna go create a striker in the lab, who would you create? You would create Sesko. So listen, I want to give a little shout out to Sesko and say, listen, like this season, 2026, he's definitely improved a lot. But the main juice of the conversation starts or sub. Look, I like Gyökeres, but
no, you don't.
I like Gyökeres. I honestly like. I'm not. I think he's a decent number 9. Like I'm not hating on him. I think for the price he paid for him, he's all right. Like he contributes to the team. It's fine. But Ekitike, what Shoaib was saying earlier in terms of the way he looks and he's a bit overrated and he's this and that. But look, he's got 10 Premier League goals in his first season for a team that's been dysfunctional. The team's all over the place. In the Premier League this season, he's got 10 non-penalty goals as well. He didn't take penalties.
Can I interrupt more time? Sorry, because you misquoted me. I didn't say he's overrated. I said his season has been overrated.
His season, sorry. You said his season has been overrated. For me, I look at it. 22 is of age, 23 is of age. First season in the Premier League, and he's already got 10 non-penalty goals in the Premier League in Feb. On track to score potentially 14 or 15. In a team that's dysfunctional. They're, 5th on the table. Their best player, Salah, has been off the boil. He's got 4 goals this season. He's publicly fallen out with his coach. They've signed a new attack. He's been in and out of the team where Isak played. They signed him, they signed Isak, and he's put on the bench. And they were looking for, what's the point of buying him if you're going to go sign Isak? So automatically he's put to the sideline. He has to recover from that. They signed Wirtz with him. That combination worked, but the team around him hasn't worked. The left-hand side has been questionable. The defense has been questionable. So he's coming to a team that's largely struggling. The midfield, McAllister looks off the boil. So he's coming to a team that's dysfunctional, and he's got 10 non-penalty goals. And his overall play, like Amin said, in terms of technical abilities, in terms of dribbling, carrying the ball, has been top. So I look at a package saying, has Ekitike been better than Torres, like Carragher said? No, that's too far. I'm not going to sit and say he's better than Torres or he's a better player than Torres, like Carragher said. That's going too far. But if you look at his season as a whole, for me, I think Ekitike has been probably one of the best summer signings that's come into the Premier League this season, because the expectations that came in when he was signed, signing Isak, being sidelined, playing for a dysfunctional team, and to still be productive and to still score goals. And I think the issue Ekitike has is he gassed out a bit too early. Second half, he struggles to kind of keep up with the pace of the game. Like you see, he's tired a bit. The physicality of the Premier League gets to him. Even in big games, like the physicality of those big games gets to him, because I just don't think he can physically cope with it, just based on like stamina and like having the endurance for those games. But that's going to come because as he plays more games, as he gets older, as he gets used to the physicality of these big games and these high intensity matches, he will come to his own. But as a football player, as a Premier League player, I think Ekitike has been one of the best summer signings. And I don't even think it's a debate between him and Gyökeres. This whole field, who's a hit? I think Ekitike is here and Gyökeres is here. I'm sorry. And you mentioned, by the way, you mentioned Ekitike hasn't scored a goal against a team that played in the top 10. Has Gyökeres scored a goal other than Sunderland today? By the way, he scored 2 goals today. GG's. Other than Sunderland, has Gyökeres scored a goal against a team in the top 10?
Well, he scored against you lot in the semi-final.
No, in the Premier League. Like I said, in the Premier League, that's what we discussed. I'm not talking about Champions League, FA Cup. In the Premier League, because that was the point here. In the Premier League, has Gyökeres scored a goal outside of the top 10? He scored 2 today, but that's at the time of recording. Before today.
What do you mean? He scored against Sunderland, no?
Yeah, he scored 2 goals today. But before today, before he scored those 2 goals today, has he scored a goal? Did he score against a team in the top 10?
What do you mean today? We didn't play today.
We didn't play today.
Sorry.
I was bugging.
Hey, Gyökeres got you a little stressed.
We didn't play today.
I got my numbers wrong. We played when we played Sunderland, he scored 2.
No, yes, but GULEED, I made the point that
he has scored. He has scored against a team in the top 10 as of today. Everton are in the top 10. There you go.
Yeah, true. Everton are like 6th or 7th. But what? No, but I made the point, GULEED. If you go before you continue, if you go back to my point, I said Ekitike has scored against someone in the top 10 and Gyökeres as well. Like they both haven't done well against the big side. I agree. But if you look at
sorry, yeah, it's the same thing for me, is that there's not a difference between them in terms of the opposition they're scoring against. That's not a factor into why you would say one is better than the other, is what I'm trying to say. So a lot of people brush off Gyökeres, but the similar things that we're criticizing for, you can criticize Ekitike for those things, was my point and Shuaib's point.
And I get it, but again, like I said, I think in terms of expectation, the goals he scored, the performances he's had, I understand the top 10 thing, but for me, I can't lie. Ekitike has started.
Why do you think his expectations are so high though? Because out of those strikers, he's the cheapest.
No, in terms of you come in as a number 9, you can't remember Ekitike was signed but Isak came as a number 9. So automatically,
but he was signed before Isak though. At
Yeah,
the
but
point of him signing, what was he? 90 million, 80 million, whatever it was.
not even 90 million euros. But then the expectation for them is once you sign Isak for 150 mil, he's going to play week in, week out. And at the start of the season, when he went for that little dip where he started well, scored a couple of goals, went out of the team, that's for Isak to come in. And he was on the bench.
But think about like this then, in the same light.
He's playing second fiddle.
In the same light, Gyökeres was signed. He was cheaper than Havertz. So technically, he's second fiddle to Havertz as well, right?
No, but in terms of, that's the price tag. But in terms of the idea for him to come in, Gyökeres was seen as, before the season, Arsenal need a number 9. They're going to go get a number 9, and that's what's going to take them to a league title. So the whole conversation.
Yeah, but by that logic, is it not? I know we haven't won it yet. But
no, you won it. Yeah, you won the league title, but that's not because he's going to score 15, 20 goals. Well, Ekitike is.
We ain't won it yet. But
and he can still get 15. It's like 6 off.
You know, he could. No, listen, he could. But I don't think his performance has been better than Ekitike.
No, I still had Ekitike above him.
Yeah,
Ekitike is still above him.
I think GULEED, you got to remember, we were just making sure, like, the point of, like...
The way you were laughing, GULEED.
Yeah, the whole thing was like...
Yo, this guy's not going to destroy Gyökeres like
everyone else. I was never going to destroy Gyökeres. No, but I just think the whole, like, I think Ekitike season overrated. I wouldn't go that far for me personally.
I think it is. I'll be honest. I would go that far to say it's been an overrated season. Honestly.
But what do you expect from him coming in, though? I don't understand. You expect
I'm talking about one of them has been slaughtered, bro, as in like one of the worst players that play in the Premier League, and one of their PR is so high in terms of like he can't do anything wrong. He's unbelievable. I just think that gap is ridiculous, bro. The way they're spoken about. That's why we were talking about it. But Ekitike has had a better season. Ekitike is a better player.
He's still above Gyökeres. Don't get twisted.
It's just the gap was just disgusting in the way they talked about, bro. But enough of that anyway, because we've all got Ekitike. But
these recent weeks, we're starting to see Gyökeres come into form as well. So from now till the end of the season, we're gonna have to see what happens, because if he ends up being that guy, because he scored in our last 2 games, right? If he ends up being that guy that's gonna push us over the line, the conversation is gonna be different. Do you remember when Havertz first joined Arsenal? And look, it's a different situation because he was playing midfield that first half of the season. But that second half of the season, that's what got Havertz his flowers in his ratings, because Arsenal fans were fuming with that signing. I was fuming. Went into the number 9, you know, really gelled in with the team by that point, and he got into form as well. Gyökeres, you know, you were saying, oh, he's coming into a new league, he has to adapt for Ekitike. Same thing for Gyökeres, and he's coming from a far less competitive league. Far less than the Bundesliga is not the highest level, but Portuguese league, you can look at their new striker that they've already signed now. He's already tearing it up, Sporting. But you know, we've got to give him that time as well. And with Gyökeres, you know, I respect the mentality as well of Gyökeres, because he's not really let it phase him, to be fair. I mean, some of the things, you know, I've seen like pundits and these journalists, like I was saying, put out against him. It's like, it's not really fair, to be fair. He's not really missing chances. He was never missing chances for us, you know, where it's like, oh, he's cost us the game missing that chance or whatever. Now we're starting to create a bit more for him, understand him. I think him and Havertz have had a really good, since Havertz come back from injury, they've had a really good little connection over the past few games. You know, we were talking about Odegaard earlier. Has he been providing for Gyökeres this season? Not so much. I think him and Eze, there was a little period where they were starting to connect well.
Yeah,
we'll have to see. I just don't think it's you know, there's that big of a gap. Even now, you've said, oh, it's like Ekitike, Gyökeres. I still don't think, based on this season, that there is that gap in their seasons. Ekitike as a footballer, look, man, we're not debating that one. But because even Sesko as a footballer, I'd have him above Gyökeres. But just on the season, GULEED, man, I'm with Shuceebbusiness on this. I think Ekitike has been a little bit overrated.
Yeah, but listen, it's an interesting conversation. Regardless, we have Ekitike starting, Gyökeres sub, and Sesko sold. But that's the end of the video, boys. Thank you for joining me again, as always. Like I said, this was GULEED. This is AMIN. We're going to have them on the channel a lot more. Let me know what you guys thought of the start sub-sells. Let me know if we got some completely wrong. Let me know if you want to see this again, because I do have some other plays that we can do this with. But until next time, take care, guys. Ciao.